Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to give you guys my top 3 stock picks for the month of July 2021. Now, if you guys have been tuned into the channel lately, these picks will not surprise you. They all fall under the EV/green energy sector, and the more and more I've watched this sector over the past few weeks, the more and more bullish I've become on it. So I could not be more confident in the performance of not only the 3 names we're going to be covering today, but on the entirety of the sector as we head into a new month. These are just the 3 I'm the most bullish on personally. All right, so let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over the structure of the video, and then we will dive in. So in front of us is a write-up that I made for you guys. This write-up consists of the 3 names we're going to be covering today. Obviously, Workhorse, Churchill Capital, and HYLN, followed by a brief description of what the stock is, what the company does. Of course, that is very important. And then lastly, my end of month price target for each of these names, along with a potential percentage increase, of course. And we will definitely justify and rationalize these price targets as we jump into the complementary charts in the back, okay? So we will go over each of these one by one once again, then hop into trading view in the back, take a look at them on the charts, try to rationalize those price targets for you guys. And along with that, I will just throw in some fundamentals as we're on the charts, talking technicals and price action as well, okay? So that's pretty much it, you guys. Going to keep it nice and simple today. Really just go over the 3 names here, and of course talk some price targets and price action. But before we do that, I do want to read for you guys the intro to the newsletter I wrote this morning, short and sweet, just to give you guys an idea of how I'm feeling about the markets as we close out the month of June and head into the month of July, all right? So it's Monday, and we're kicking off the trading week with an absolute banger of a day, Waves fam. Growth stocks have had quite the morning, with the NASDAQ ripping and the Dow pulling back. Risk appetite appears to be back, and I expect this trend will only continue. Front running the market is the real way you make money in this game. Once again, you guys, this is like my general thesis when it comes to trading. Front running the market is the real way you make money. Spot a trend before the rest of the market does. Establish your positions and then grab some popcorn to watch those buttery gains roll in, all right? Again, you guys, this is exactly how I feel with the EV sector right now. This is how I've been feeling. And we could not have kicked off the last trading week of June and the same trading week as the first one in July, I guess, on a stronger note this morning. It just feels so good. EVs and green energy are popping off as expected, and crypto is actually seeing some pretty positive price action as well. Of course, we will cover crypto later this week. But again, you guys, I could not be more stoked on the potential of the green energy sector right now. And of course, if you guys want one of these bad boys, want one of those emails in your inbox every single trading day during market hours, along with a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, my exact trades, call options, put options, stock positions, cryptocurrency positions, of course, check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description. That's $15 a month. Again, you guys, these 3 are probably the 3 stocks in the entire market, definitely in the EV sector, that I'm personally the most bullish on. But I do have trades open across this sector, across biotechs, across cryptos right now. So if you want to know exactly how I'm personally trading them, when I'm taking profits, how much profits I'm taking, when I'm establishing new positions, once again, that is going to be the first link down in the description. It really means a lot if you guys check that out. But if not, no worries at all. Let's get into the video. And of course, I do have to ask you guys, please like the video. That also really means a lot. And subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this, want to join the Waves fam, follow the journey, okay? So again, you guys, we will go down the line here, kick it off with Workhorse, of course, dive into the charts for Workhorse, CCIV, etc., etc. You guys know the drill, okay? So Workhorse is a U.S. company that is focused on manufacturing electric-powered delivery and utility vehicles. My end-of-month price target is going to be $30, resulting in a potential 75% appreciation of the stock, okay? So all these price targets, you guys, keep in mind, these are give or take 5-10%-ish, but these are just my general price targets. And in Workhorse's case, this is actually a little conservative because I do think Workhorse could actually outperform that price target. All right, so let's talk about why that is, though. Get rid of that just because that is pretty for the intro. But Workhorse, just today, you guys, I could not have been more excited about seeing this play out in Workhorse this morning. For those of you guys who may be watching at a later date, I feel like there are definitely a few of you who are. I'm recording this currently on June 28th, okay? So this is June 28th as we're closing out the month of June. But as of today, Workhorse has finally broken out of this beautiful bull flag that we've been watching for the past week or so. So, of course, a bull flag which are very, very present across the sector. You absolutely love to see those. It's my single favorite trading pattern in the entire game because they have such a high chance of resolution to, of course, the upside because it is a bull flag, as its name states. Anyway, bull flag, for the few of you who don't know, is a parabolic move up followed by a descending triangle, okay? So workhorse, again, parabolic move up, capitulating, slowing down a little bit, but just this morning broke out, saw some insane price action. I believe it closed the day up about, obviously it closed the day up about 9%. Got up to like 12, 13% at one point today. You love to see that. It felt so good to see that. And now that it has broken out of this bull flag, it only makes sense to me that we'll, at the very least, like probably tomorrow, we will surpass the high that we saw in early June on June 9th. I do think it's going to be so easy to break beyond that and of course set a new high. All right, this is a classic two-wave theory. Same thing, like two-wave theory, the bull flag, very similar patterns. Parabolic move up, you see things slow down, you see things capitulate a little bit, and then once it breaks out of that current downtrend, once it breaks out of the resistance of that current downtrend, you usually see that next wave up, and more often than not, that second wave is larger than the first one, okay? So my price target for workhorse is going to be similar to these two as well, actually, is going to be closing the gap. So as you guys can see here, I'm sure many of you are aware of workhorse, especially if you're watching this video. Covered it for a long time on the channel over the course of the past year or so. But workhorse, they did have that contract for the USPS delivery vehicles. That contract has since been given to another company, I believe a company by the name of Oshkosh. Please correct me on that if I'm wrong. But workhorse, I know they are doing their best to reestablish some of that contract. And even if not, their project is so promised. Like, from a fundamental perspective, the projects they're working on and the category that they're targeting within the EV ecosystem, that delivery of the utility vehicles, is such a niche, which we are going to talk about in HYLN as well, is like targeting these niche subcategories within the macro category of EV and green energy. And from a fundamental perspective, I do think workhorse has a lot of potential. They also have, which I've been covering as well for the past couple of weeks, such a high level of short interest on the stock, which of course attracts the army. That is the Reddit army, the Wall Street Bets army. And there's so much power in that volume, you guys. There's so much power in the hands of retail traders. And if the Reddit army does want to attempt to short squeeze these guys, on top of all the fundamentals behind workhorse right now, I do think that could catalyze a crazy move up, maybe even new all-time highs in workhorse, beyond even $43, which was its previous high in February of this year. Maybe we see us break beyond that. But as far as the short term is concerned, as far as the month of July is concerned, my current price target, my fairly conservative, once again, price target is going to be to fill the gap after we saw the dump, after workhorse fell off a cliff following kind of the news about that contract being terminated. I do think from a technical perspective, gap filling is definitely something that comes into play, especially when you get into blue sky territory. Again, once workhorse breaks pretty much beyond like $20, we're pretty much in blue sky. And I do think that once and if, I guess, but I'm betting on once. You guys always know my money's where my mouth is. Once workhorse breaks $20, I think it's gonna be a pretty clear shot to like $30. Just middle way of this range, that is the gap that I do believe will fill, okay? So potential 70 to 90% gap to fill right here. I'll take that, especially if you're playing the right calls, especially if you got the right calls in place. This can be an extremely lucrative position, much more than 75%, okay? So that's workhorse. Let's move on to Churchill Capital, or good old CCIV. Churchill Capital, CCIV is a SPAC, or a special purpose acquisition company, set to merge with a luxury EV automaker Lucid Motors in a few weeks. So I believe the vote for this, please correct me on this if I'm wrong too, but I'm pretty confident, the vote to see if this merger will successfully go through between these two companies takes place on July 22nd. If approved, the SPAC, they will officially merge on July 23rd. So if you get the green light on July 22nd, they will merge on July 23rd. This is already being highly anticipated. So to some extent, of course, you guys, this will always be priced into the stock. There's been news of this for so long. So this is somewhat priced in the stock already. Actually, back here is where you can see the hype really catching up and thinking they're pricing it in. But of course, since then, we have seen in CCIV, similar to workhorse, similar to HYLN the worst of all, but CCIV specifically since its high in mid-February of this year as well, has since seen about a 74% correction. And again, you guys, I do think this is a classic example of the two wave right here. Again, parabolic move up. You see the bubble pop. This is definitely a bubble. This is hype getting ahead of itself. You see the bubble pop. You see capitulation. And then now that we've broken this resistance, we've broken a downtrend, we are executing a reversal. We're seeing bullish patterns, these bull flags on bull flags. I have to believe that we will see the second wave. And if all goes accordingly with CCIV, like if the merger does go through, if EVs, if the entirety of the sector really does take off and start to consume some of the capital outflow from slower sectors that are starting to slow down, I guess, and just see capital outflow, I think the EV ecosystem, this sector specifically, is such a good candidate for any potential outflow of capital that we see in other sectors of the market. And CCIV, once again, if all goes accordingly, come later July, so promising, such a promising play, not only fundamentally but technically as well, because again, two wave, the classic two wave theory. And as I just said, you guys, the second wave, most of the time, is more significant and more tsunami-like than the first wave, okay? So price target for CCIV, we can see here, you guys, CCIV since last week, shout out to the newsletter, shout out to the Waves fam, you guys, we've been covering this. CCIV did break out of this kind of janky little bull flag. Since then has come up and just today broke out of its smaller bull flag following the breakout of the initial bull flag. So again, you guys, bull flags on bull flags, this is like the most promising pattern in the entire market. I can't imagine we're going to stop here right before the high we saw. Again, similar to all the entirety of the sector, you guys, is going to move in unison, similar to crypto, similar to biotechs. Like every sector you look at, the players within that sector, they're all going to look somewhat like each other, but of course there are going to be individuals within these sectors that outperform the others, which is why I chose these three to talk to you guys about with today, because these three look very, very promising in terms of upside potential. Okay, so broke out of the bull flag today. My initial or my end of month price target for CCIV, let's go back to this quickly, is going to be $50 or a potential 85% price appreciation. So from current levels, we're at $27. Do the price range up to the middle of this gap. This is a massive gap right here. It's probably one of the biggest gaps I've ever seen right here for CCIV once we started falling off a cliff in late February. But again, you guys, this is a massive, massive gap. And I just chose kind of the, like, I guess 2/3 of the way up this gap. Of course, you guys, in terms of levels of resistance, it's important to understand. Same with Workhorse, CCIV, HYLN, any stock you look at, any stock you have with high level price targets. I know almost all of you guys know this, but I just want to clarify. I don't think these things are just going to go straight up. Obviously, these things aren't just going to go parabolic. You're going to see resistance along the way. Historical levels that have acted as ceilings and floors in the past, the reason I have this level drawn right here, the reason I have this level drawn right here, I do think like $32, $33 will pose a pretty significant ceiling. So maybe we come up to 32, 33, see a pullback for a few days prior to resuming the rally to ultimately once again fill this gap, which I do believe is pretty darn likely to happen. Okay, so $50 is going to be my price target for CCIV. It's about 2/3 of the way up this gap. You can see this little touch point right here on the 4-hour candles as well. So $50, very sound psychological. Even if we do see this merger execute properly, then I think this is more than likely, then I think this is entirely possible, I should say. And more than likely, it's very possible we see new all-time highs as well. Okay, so that's CCIV. Let's close it out with HYLN. HYLN, super exciting today. Again, you guys, shout out to the Discord newsletter. I didn't double down on HYLN today, but I definitely increased my position sizes today. The entirety of the sector was in the green, like significant green as that, at that, and HYLN was in the red. I mean, that's just, it was just asking for the bags, okay? So HYLN technically is looking so promising. Let's bring up this chart and then close it out with HYLN's technicals. HYLN produces electrified powertrain systems that can augment or fully replace traditional diesel or natural gas fueled powertrains. HYLN, from a fundamental perspective, I've said this so many times, in terms of like a longer term, a project with longer term potential, or a stock, or just a trade that if I was to set and forget for like a year, HYLN is definitely up there, maybe number one in terms of fundamental potential of this company and the ability for this company to scale financially over the course of the coming year, 2 years, 5 years, all right? That's because, obviously, you guys, the truck ecosystem, truckers in the United States, like the trucking jobs consume what, like 20% of all male US jobs or something. You guys know, I don't need to explain to you guys how important, how massive the trucking industry is in the United States, shipments and whatnot, logistics, all right? So the fact that HYLN produces a single object or a small line of very, very specific objects that can be easily scaled, They can be easily outsourced. It's just the technology itself and the licensing and the patenting and stuff. They make one product or one small line of products. They make it extremely well, and they can scale it easily for a huge market that is the trucking industry, and that's obviously on the verge of being disrupted. Again, everything's moving green. That's very obvious, especially with Biden's infrastructure bill. Everything's moving green. They're definitely going to subsidize. There's going to be so many government subsidies for companies like HYLN to make the trucking industry, which again, in terms of like carbon emissions, is massive. If HYLN can cut that down, HYLN is such a good proponent. Again, I'm really ranting about the fundamentals right now, but you guys, HYLN fundamentally so bullish on it. End of month price target for HYLN is going to be $27 or a potential over 2x, 120% price increase. Okay. So HYLN, just last week, actually, we closed out last week, June 25th, by breaking out of this bull flag. Today was presented such an amazing opportunity. Just zooming in here, you guys, short term, I love to see this setup. Broke out of resistance, saw a breakout, saw a legit breakout. Today we pulled back a little bit, but again, on the short term, we are just setting a series of higher highs and lows following the breakout. So broke out of a longer, I would say a medium-term bull flag, pretty solid bull flag, broke out, pulled back on the short-term uptrend. We are still to see this purple line right here, technically setting a higher low on the current uptrend. High, low, higher low. I expect us to set a higher high probably tomorrow, definitely as we head into July 1st. I do expect us to head up if this orange line is broken. At this point, if $13 is broken, tomorrow it would have to be about $13.25. But in my mind, once $13 is broken, once this orange line of resistance is broken, I'll zoom out to the daily candles as we close out the video. But once $13 is broken, you guys, it's off to the races. We are rocket shipping off. At least that's my personal opinion. So let's check out the dailies quick. I'll get rid of this because as we zoom out, it gets a little sketchy looking. But HYLN, you guys, is on the verge of breaking this downtrend that's lasted for so long. So this touch point that's on the bounce from HYLN's all-time high way back in, what is that, September of last year. So almost going on a year now, September of 2020, HYLN reached its all-time high at about $60. Since then, the fundamentals have only gotten stronger. I mean, HYLN, you guys can go back and on my channel, like HYLN, I did a solo analysis on them. I ranted and raved about the fundamental potential of HYLN, and I still believe that. So HYLN, again, nothing's coming their way. They just released some great news a couple of weeks ago that I covered in an EV stock talk, talking about how they're scaling their operations. They're opening up a new facility in Austin. Like Austin, it's freaking Austin. These guys are on the cutting edge. But again, you guys, they're scaling their operations. The product itself is amazing, and their all-time high is like $60. So I would not be surprised from here. That's a 5x from $12 where we're at now. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this EV bull market, the current EV short-term rally, to see that all-time high, to see that previous all-time high met once again. Okay, if everything goes accordingly. But just for July, you guys, again, if this orange line is broken, once again, $13.50, just play it super simple. If HYLN can hit $13.50, which is about a 10% price increase from here, if we see 10% over the course of this week, HYLN will officially be in breakout mode. It will have broken the line of resistance, overall line of resistance on the downtrend beginning all the way back in November of 2020. So for over half a year now, HYLN has been in this downtrend. Once this line of resistance is broken, we will be in a technical breakout. And I do think that at the very least, HYLN will probably see some, around 17, 18 bucks, historical ceilings and floors, see some resistance around there. But ultimately, I do think that HYLN can come up here to reach these areas where it head and shoulders out, where it's seen, again, has acted as a previous ceiling before we saw HYLN really break out and take off. On the way up, it acted as a ceiling. On the way down, it acted as a ceiling once again on the bounces. And I do think that HYLN could come up to 27, 28, 30 bucks. So over 2x from here, you guys. And again, I do believe, honestly, especially when you're considering the longer term, the more medium to longer term time horizons, this is just the beginning. Okay, so we'll call it there, you guys. Please let me know in the comments down below what your favorite stock of the three we talked about is. If there's a stock that you're super stoked on as we head into the month of July, please let me know which stock that is down below. It does not have to be in the EV green energy sector. It can be in whatever sector. Just always love to hear your opinions. Always like to know what you guys are thinking, not only for engagement, but so I can learn from you guys and again, know what you guys want to see on the channel as well. So I'll catch you guys downstairs in the comments. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.